let's see if I can get this up. Okay. And so this video comes from the Site One Landscape Supply. It's a video entitled Enhance Fertilizer Uptake and Prolong Greening with Lesco NOS and NOS Plus. It's only 2 minutes long, 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. A lot of claims in here. It just so happens in this particular example, I've provided ample evidence to refute nearly every claim in this video. But keep in mind, you don't have to rely upon me or the evidence. In the video, notice how many claims are made and compare that with how much evidence is provided to support those claims. That's the point of the video. Okay, let's go.
You know that to grow, you need the trust of the people you serve. But you also know that to earn it, you need to provide agronomic solutions that will deliver superior results and lead to a sterling reputation. Lesco NOS and NOS Plus, available exclusively at Site One Landscape Supply, are enhanced efficiency fertilizers designed to improve greening longevity while getting the most out of every application. Whether it's residential lawns, large commercial settings, or golf courses. NOS, or Nitrogen Optimization System, delivers stabilized nitrogen to the soil through spread or spray application. This makes nutrients more available for uptake compared to fertilizers with unstabilized urea-based nitrogen. NOS Plus takes performance a step higher with the addition of an industry-first dual mode of action release. An advanced polymer coating releases stabilized nitrogen predictably over time, while a fully infused, NOS-stabilized urea reduces nitrogen loss as it's released. This technology increases nitrogen use longevity and efficiencies, extends the feeding timeline, prolongs greening, and improves retention in the soil, thus enhancing plant availability. Here's how the science behind both NOS and NOS Plus works. DCD is a water-soluble nitrification inhibitor that's fully infused into the granule while in the molten phase.
Yeah, so just so we're clear here is that DCD is an evidence-based element or component that will influence nitrification. But keep in mind, I'm not just interested in reducing nitrification. I'm interested in the turf quality. And notice how there hasn't been any evidence yet to support anything. They're just making claims. Okay.
The homogeneous infusion of DCD inhibits the nitrogen conversion in the soil from ammonium to nitrate by bonding the positively charged ammonium compound to negatively charged soil. NOS keeps the nitrogen in the ammonium state longer, meaning nutrients are released at a rate that matches the nitrogen needs of turf and promotes both root and shoot growth.
Yeah, so I'm going to show a little bit of information on this in an upcoming episode where I'm trying to think if it might actually be next month, but they're basically saying it keeps nitrogen in the ammonium stage longer and blah, blah, blah. And we've shown some evidence that indicate that doesn't really happen. I'm going to show a paper that indicates that it actually will happen. There is some evidence to support that for sure. But it is secondary to my interest. My interests are the turf. And the idea is, well, if it does this, then it's going to enhance the turf. Well, not necessarily. And we haven't really seen a whole lot of information or evidence to support that. Let's keep going.
Compared to fertilizer blends with standard urea, only NOS effectively reduces the potential for nitrogen to be lost through leaching or volatilization.
Well, if it, I thought this product only contained DCD. I looked up the label, and maybe I misread the label, but I only saw DCD on the label. So maybe I'm looking at the wrong label, but if it contains only DCD, then it won't have anything to do with urease volatilization, right? It's only going to influence the nitrification inhibition. So maybe I misread the label. It has to contain two components to reduce volatilization and to reduce nitrification. If it just contains DCD, it won't do that. It will only do the latter. So I thought it just contained one, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's keep going.
By reducing the loss, you can ensure every dollar invested in nutrition is maximized to achieve longer-lasting performance.
And see, that's where I take issue with some of these marketing sheets, because I don't have to provide any information or evidence to refute any of this at all. None. I happen to have evidence to refute all this, okay, as many, many other authors do as well. But when they start talking about investment, maximize your investment, maximize longevity of performance, that's where I can step in and say, okay, we have clear evidence that that doesn't happen. It's actually the exact opposite. Unless the price is exactly the same price as urea. In most cases, the inclusion of these nitrification inhibitors increase the price of the product, being urea, substantially. 50% to 100% more expensive than straight urea. But when you start talking about investment, no. You're not getting a return. What's the ROI? Return on investment. You're not getting a return on your investment when you're spending more money and getting nothing back in return. When I say nothing, that's an extreme, but you're not getting hardly anything in terms of turf response back in return for the money you spent on it. You might get some incidental retention of ammonium. You might get some reduction in volatilization if you have something like MBPT in there. That may occur, likely will occur if those conditions exist to favor those transformations. Those products will reduce that transformation. But I don't care really about that so much. Environmentally, I do. But when it comes to the turf grass, I don't really care about that. What I want to know is what's going to happen to the turf: longevity, color, quality, growth, something that I'm interested in. And time after time after time, we do not see that in the literature. We don't see any change compared to urea. And even in cases where you might pull something out of the literature and say, oh, Travis, you're wrong. Here's an increase from urea. Okay, what was the increase from urea? Does it offset the expense, the investment? Does the additional expense to buy these products give me something in return for that investment? And what they're saying is it does. And what I'm saying is I haven't seen any evidence to support it. And in fact, I've seen evidence to refute it. So please don't fall into the trap of saying, I got to find evidence, I got to do this. They're not providing any evidence. They're just saying stuff. Okay.
Enhance nutrient efficiency, promote greening longevity, further environmental stewardship, and realize a better return on investment.
Basically, none of that is supported by evidence. Let's back up. Let's back up to these last 4 claims. Okay, let's start again on these last 4 claims.
Longer lasting performance. Enhance nutrient efficiency.
So enhance nutrient efficiency, there's many different ways to measure that, okay? Generally speaking, if you're applying a pound of nitrogen and let's say 50% gets taken up to the plant, it would be 50% efficient. Rough numbers, so just bear with me. Okay, that's the basic concept. And what they're saying is using a product like this would increase the percentage of nitrogen that gets taken up to the plant. Occasionally, very, very rarely, but occasionally you might be able to find something in the literature that supports that. The majority of the time, you won't find any difference between this and urea. So that's not supported, at least not convincing to me.
Promote greening longevity.
I've actually measured this, as you know, from the study, the nitrogen cost study, where I measured the longevity of response, turfgrass response to these products. Other authors have also measured turfgrass response longevity and saw, whether it's weeks or months in longevity from urea. Does it change and does it increase when you're including a product like DCD? And we've seen essentially zero evidence. So if you find one study that says there was some additional longevity, I'll show you 10 that didn't show any difference between urea and DCD. Okay.
Further environmental stewardship.
So this particular claim is potentially valid. I haven't gone into the environmental stewardship part of this, but there is a little bit there. Okay. I wouldn't say there's a whole lot there in terms of leaching. I know they want to talk about leaching. I wouldn't say there's a whole lot there in terms of reducing nitrogen leaching because you're including a product like DCD. It's a little bit there. But if you want to argue that it reduces denitrification, and denitrification can actually be the gaseous loss of nitrogen through denitrification can be harmful to the environment, then that's possible that there's some evidence to support that. So if that's what, floats your boat, then there may be something there, even though still they're not showing any evidence to support it.
And realize a better return on investment.
And there's absolutely strong evidence to refute that. But even if you don't know anything, that's it. That's the end of the video. Even if you don't know anything about any of this product at all, you don't need to know anything about the product at all. They're just making claims. And what'll happen more frequently than not is they'll have, because they realize that too, we're just making wild assertions. They'll say, well, let's go do a study with ABC State University and we'll do something for 5 months or 6 months or a year or whatever the case is. And they'll find something and then they'll put like graphs on a flyer and say, look at the response of this product compared to the competitor's product or whatever. Don't be fooled by that either. Okay. Those are intentionally selected, cherry-picked from a set of data that they may have done 10 studies and found one that worked, and they'll show that one. Or they may have used one study with 10 treatments and only 2 worked, and they'll pull those 2 out and ignore the other 8. Even though the other 8 may have included urea, it may have been exactly the same as the product they included. It happens all the time, okay? Even from the companies that you think are very well established, have a good reputation in the industry. Oh, no, they wouldn't do that. Yes, they would, okay? They definitely would do it. They are doing it. So don't be fooled by marketing sheets that have data on them. Unless at the data it says something like, Snyder, 1984, crop science or whatever. Unless they cite, a refereed paper or some sort of, published work. That's a little different if you're going to do that. I don't know if I've ever even seen that. But if they did that, then I could actually go look that up. I could look that paper up and look it up and go, okay, well, what did they find here? And read it and find out for myself whether or not it's convincing information, okay? So I just wanted to use that as an example of a bunch of claims. Some of them, the environmental thing may or may not be true to some degree. Most of them are refuted by evidence. But like I said, even if you don't know anything about it, please guard yourself by using critical thinking skills and go, well, that's just in one ear and out the other. And what I want to know is what's actually happened. How do I know? How do I find that out? And it's usually through the scientific literature or your land-grant institution that can help you find the most, the best management practice for these various nitrogen sources and turf management practices, okay?